What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I'm a musician and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. As always, thank you so very much for being here. Thank you so much for sending this to a friend. Thank you for sending me a tip via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. You can find a whole bunch of cool stuff, readings and music and cool ass artwork that you can put up on your wall or put on your body and lots of things like that. You can find all that at zambonifunk.com. There's a podcast and a bunch of other stuff as well. I do a lot of stuff. So please go to zambonifunk.com and check that out. Thank you so much for being here. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So this week we have big things going on. Things are changing a lot this week. We have, so in the first place, we've got eclipses happening. We are into eclipse season here. So we've got a full moon this week, which is going to be a lunar eclipse in Libra on the south node. So whenever we see eclipses going on, then we can always think about catalyzing action in some kind of way. We can think about, I often think about the straw that broke the camel's back or something like this, energy that's been building up for a while. And then there's a moment where things get a little weird, things change in some kind of major way. And then everything downstream from that changes in a pretty significant kind of way. So that is what we're looking at with eclipses generally, right? This particular set of eclipses looks like a very big deal for a few reasons. One is that, so this particular eclipse that we're going to see this week is the smaller of the two eclipses that we're looking at in this round. The next one in 2 weeks is going to be a solar eclipse in Aries. That one seems to be like the big one where a whole bunch seems like it wants to take place. But once we get this one this week, this lunar eclipse in Libra, then we are firmly into eclipse season and everything looks eclipsy for a little while. And eclipses have ramifications that go pretty deep in either direction. So probably around 6 months in the past as well as 6 months in the future. Some people say it could be longer even than the 6 months. We'll call it 6 months here just for simplicity's sake, because that's the amount of time that it will be until the next set of eclipses happens. So we're looking at major geopolitical shifting as well as probably big stuff that wants to happen in your own situation. If you've got planets in Libra and Aries, this looks like a major moment where stuff wants to change in some kind of important way that might be associated with some kind of uncertainty. It might not be entirely clear what's next or what the right move is or something like this. There's going to be likely some kind of change. So this is a Libra eclipse, right? Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus is hanging out in Pisces with Mars and Saturn. We'll get to Mars and Saturn in Pisces in a moment. But so we've got both malefics there, and also Venus in Pisces is averse to Libra. So Venus, although Venus is exalted in Pisces and loves being in Pisces, even with a couple of malefics, Venus still has a lot of capacity for things that are delicious, finding some kind of pleasure or excitement even in a malefic kind of situation. Venus in Pisces is okay with that kind of thing, but Venus in Pisces is averse to both actually Aries or Libra and Aries. And so Venus can't see what's going on over there in Libra, and so is not really in position to help very much, isn't in position to make things better or make things more delicious or cooperative in the way that Venus tends to want to do, right? Moon with the south node tends to be draining. It tends to do less of whatever it touches. And so especially doing less of Libra things, that looks like less fairness, less feeling like things are just or equal, or, you know, Libra is associated with the scales, right? It's sort of like this idea of like weighing up what I have versus weighing up what you have, and sort of transacting or exchanging in some kind of way that makes us both happy. The south node in that place looks kind of like a drain on that. Like things don't really have that feeling of like etiquette or grace or these kinds of like Libra words, right? It's a situation where things look a little bit tense, especially since it's ruled by Venus, and Venus is here in Pisces, can't see Libra, and also is present with a couple of malefics. So let's talk about Mars, who has moved into Pisces. Mars was in Aquarius for a good long time there, and that looked like a lot, a lot took place during that time. Now that Mars is in Pisces, I kind of like Mars in Pisces. I think Mars does pretty well in Pisces, kicking around, doing I think that Pisces is a space in the zodiac that is sometimes a little bit confused, or I always talk about soup. I always talk about oceans with Pisces, right? Like it's all kind of the one stuff, and it can be a little bit like the borderless or boundaryless. And so to have a little bit of Mars heat in there, being like, get up, handle some shit, go do something. I like Mars in Pisces. Now the thing about this is Mars moving into Pisces puts Mars right there with Saturn as well. And so Mars moves a little bit slow, a little slow, right? So we're talking about like a half a degree a day or something like this. And so just kind of creeping up toward a conjunction with Saturn. So, Mars and Saturn together, that's two malefics. Malefics are the ones who bring discomfort, challenges, difficulty, things that don't necessarily feel good. They're not necessarily evil, they are not necessarily bad things, but they are things that are uncomfortable and that you don't necessarily like, especially in the moment you don't necessarily like them. So both of those malefics together, Mars tends to be too hot, like excessive anger, heat, Mars, we can think about like a furnace or the smithy or something like this, like extremely hot, like smelting metal, which we think of as being super solid, turning into liquid. That's Mars kind of heat. Paired with Saturn, extreme cold, typically. We can think about like a polar, what's his name? Navalny died in a polar prison. Like that's big Saturn energy, right? So both of those things together, it's gas and brakes, same time. It's extremely frustrating. It like that Mars energy of like, get up and go do the thing. Meanwhile, Saturn's like, it'll never work. Don't move. Like, stay still, be afraid, this kind of thing, right? So both of those things happening at the same time. There's like a lot of push and pull energy, which resonates really strongly with eclipses, because eclipses are also one of the ways that I like to think about eclipses is like seesawing. So it's like because it's the full moon on the one side and then the new moon on the other side, and they sort of like bounce back and forth, and there's this up down, like south node tends to want to drain things, north node tends to want to increase things, and so it's a big seesaw kind of situation going on here. So seeing that basic nature of seesawing going on, and everyone who rules eclipses, so we've got Venus ruling this eclipse in Pisces, and then the next eclipse that we have is going to be in Aries, ruled by Mars, who is also there in Pisces with Saturn. There's a lot of this sort of like conflicting, contrasting energy going on here. This looks like a moment where things are getting really uncomfortable in this point in time, especially since we're in a moment where none of the information makes a lot of sense. We can think about Mercury getting super slow at this point. All week Mercury's gonna travel like 2.5 degrees or something like this, right? Mercury tends to, like, when Mercury's doing well, like on a good day, Mercury will go 2 degrees a day, right? Right now, Mercury's gonna go like 2.5 degrees for the whole week, and then we're moving toward a Mercury retrograde. So we're looking at confusion. We're looking at things not making a lot of sense. Maybe saying a lot of things, like posturing in a really strong, like Aries kind of way, but maybe some of those things aren't true. Maybe posturing based on false information or something like that. Maybe it's not even a situation where people are lying to each other, which they totally are. But let's pretend for a moment that everybody is all on the up and up, and like where no lying is taking place. But maybe your facts are wrong or something like this, right? This is the kind of, so we've got bad information and too much information going on while there's plenty discomfort happening. And perhaps too much information is part of the discomfort that's going on here. So there's a lot that is happening over the next couple of months. It looks like a really big historical moment as well, to see both eclipses happening, as well as both malefics hanging out in Pisces, and And, so, all right, so it's all happening in Pisces here. Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is in Taurus, hanging out with Uranus. Looks super disruptive, looks like surprises. This looks like a moment where there's a lot of chaos, and it's a good time for us to remember that chaos also makes opportunities. There are things that are possible in chaos that are not